Contestant number 1, Gavin A. Gavin A. Contestant number.
Before I begin, can we please give Toastmaster Benedict now a round of applause? Okay, Toastmaster Benedict, I like the way you started your speech. Very good opening with a little twist. You mentioned that, can I see a show of hands of how many of you don't like people to ask them to show of hands? You know, that you actually gauge audience attention. It's like, oh, okay, this is different. Okay, that's a very good one. And as you go on with your speech, you're a very vivid speaker, I would say. Your words is very descriptive. And especially when you mentioned that when you turned 18, you actually, your dad actually, you thought that you would buy a Mini Cooper instead, but actually you got like a Canary. So I also like the way you mentioned that your twist is like comparing Canary with a Mini Cooper. It's like a classic car and museum exhibit. And you keep using that throughout your speech. You also mentioned that carrying a steering lock, golf club, and took out my phone. That way, that is actually a twist that actually is like you create a very tense situation and suddenly, boom, humor comes in. With that, please give him another round of applause. Aside from that, I like the way how you wrapped up the speech because when you added that there's 2 key messages. After your opening, you mentioned that no one can force you to raise your hands. That's very good. It carries an indirect message. Okay, and also you ended with if you feel down, depressed, or defeated, remember when rain falls, flowers blossom. That is very powerful message to bring home. Now, if I may suggest on how to make you elevate to be a better speaker, first off, I'd like to say, could you share more about your dad? Because in your speech, you started off by saying no one can force you to raise your hand except your dad. So throughout the speech, you have emphasized on your dad. And in your speech, you mentioned mainly on the car accident. So I would like to suggest that perhaps you can add what is the aftermath of that accident. What did your dad tell you? Because slamming the accelerator and hitting 2 cars, my dad would kill me. You know? All right? So, because that is to tie in to make the message stronger. Because when you mentioned that down, depressed, and defeated, I couldn't see the tie back to the story. Okay? Also, another one is, in my opinion, is to reduce on the twist. Because you might face the risk of overexposure. Because when you mention that steering lock, golf club, you create an intense situation, and when you nail humor, you might defeat the value. It's like no one can force you to raise your hand, except my dad, he can't. You know, he might not carry the optimal message that you want to carry. All in all, I really like your speech. It has a very good opening, very descriptive way of describing your stories, and very good message. If I may suggest to improve, is to tie the message back to the story and try to reduce the twist of facing the risk of overexposure. With that, I end my evaluation. Thank you. Back to you.